Silent Hill F is one of the best experiences I've had with a horror game in a very long time, especially when it comes to AAA, because a lot of the AAA games we've gotten in the past, a lot of them have been remakes, or I've just not really rocked with them like that. Even when it comes to like Resident Evil 7 and 8, those ones I thought were okay, but I didn't really care for them as much as some of the other games in the series. But when it comes to horror games, majority of the horror games in the past few years that I've actually enjoyed are indie games. So back when Silent Hill F got announced, this game did pique my interest, mainly because it looked vastly different than any of the other Silent Hill games that we've seen in the past, especially because it showed like this weird like red type of thing that was appearing, and I was just like, oh, what exactly is going to happen? And as we got more trailers until the game finally came out, I was really looking forward to this one because everything they showed in the trailers, I was like, oh, this one looks like this is going to be really fun, especially compared to some of these past AAA games, because we've gotten way too many remakes, especially when it comes to Silent Hill. This is the first new Silent Hill we've gotten in a long ass time, so I was really looking forward to this one because I didn't think this one would be bad, especially compared to some of the past ones we got in the past that were not really great games. They were okay, you could find some enjoyment with them, but when it came to this one was really fun, and it just surprised me, and it was one of the best experiences I've had with a horror game in a long time. And in this video, I just want to talk about my experience with this game. One of the first things I really noticed about this game is that this one feels more like a survival horror game compared to like the first three Silent Hills, or I guess the first four, where, you know, those ones, they were kind of just psychological story like horror game, because you didn't really have like the whole survival horror type of aspect in those games, mainly because you got a lot of health in those games and you did get a lot of ammo. And like the whole purpose when you're playing like the first four Silent Hills is mainly just the focus on the story, because like the story plays like a big role in like what's exactly is happening compared to like other survival horror games. Like when it comes to Resident Evil, the story's there, but you're also just worried about like, yo, am I going to have enough ammo to take any of these enemies out? Where in Silent Hill, you never really had to worry about that, and to me that's what always separated them. But in this one, you do have some survival horror aspects, mainly because you have inventory management, because in this game it gives you different type of items you have to hold. Like either it's going to be something for health, or it's going to be used for sanity, or it's going to be used for stamina, or it's going to be something you're going to use as an offering. That way you can get those prey points, because you know, like when it comes to those points, those are some of the things that can help you upgrade your health, your stamina, your sanity, or of course, you know, you can use it to get some charm. So that was one of the aspects I really liked, because like there was multiple times in the game where I would have so much stuff. I mean, this game does give you a lot of health, I will say that. You get a lot of health. Kind of just depends on which mode you play on, because if you play on story, you'll get a lot of health, but then if you play on hard and then like Lost in the Fog, you're not going to get as much like health items as you would like on story. But even then, you have a lot of items you have to like manage, because you got to decide, yo, which one am I going to keep, which one am I going to use, am I going to carry a whole bunch of health, am I going to take some of these items to the shrine, that way I can get some points. So that's one of the things you have to worry about when it comes to managing your inventory, along with weapons too, because you have to manage your weapons, because you only can carry 3 weapons at a time, so you have to manage them and be like, yo, am I going to get rid of this one to grab this weapon right here? And that was one of the things I've really enjoyed, is that I actually had to worry about my inventory, and I had to like worry about like what exactly am I going to keep, what am I not going to keep, because there were certain times I would find an item, I'd be like, oh shit, I can't pick this up. Yeah, there are ways to increase your inventory, but it's usually only like 1 extra slot, and a lot of it comes like in your next playthrough, especially if you're going to play on New Game Plus. That's how you can get some of those like upgrades to your inventory. One of the other things I really enjoyed about this game is the setting, because this takes place in a Japanese small fishing town, and it fits the series mainly because, you know, when it comes to Silent Hill, it was a small quiet town. This one to me is like an even smaller town, especially when you compare it to Silent Hill, because, you know, Silent Hill, even though it's a small town, there's a lot of shit that's low-key kind of in Silent Hill, especially when you compare it to just like other towns, like actual small towns. Silent Hill kind of got a lot of shit for it to be a quote-unquote small town. I just really like the setting in this game and like the areas we go to, because a lot of the areas you really don't have a lot of space. There's certain areas that you do have space in, but there's a lot of crampedness when it comes to the areas that we're going to, and that's one of the things I really like. And just seeing like some of the different places we go, because the village has a really interesting setting, seeing all the different shrines, going to the school, and like even when it comes to the other world, seeing like the different shrines and areas that are in there, that was one of the things I really did like a lot about just like the setting in general. Now, one of the other aspects of this game that like they did emphasize a lot on when you first saw this was the combat. Now, at first people were trying to say this is going to be like a Souls-like type of game, but then you play it and it's just like, no, it's not like that at all. It's like more toned down. Now, the combat really isn't that challenging, but like when you first play this, you're going to want to get used to it, because you want to know what exactly you can do. One of the things you can do is dodge, and also one of the other things is you can parry. And when it comes to the parry, like what it usually is that you'll see like an enemy light up and it'll freeze for a quick second, and you have to hit a button at the right time to actually parry them. And when you do it, it's actually really cool. And also when it comes to Himiko, her dodge is phenomenal. Her dodge dodge is so fun to do, especially when you get a perfect dodge. It's one of the most satisfying things to do in this game, and I love it. It makes Himiko a beast in this game when she's dodging, and especially when you get a perfect dodge and you get out the way at the right time. Yes, sometimes it can still put you in a bad position, but for the most part, you're going to get out the way unless you're fighting a lot of enemies. That's when it can become troubling. So like when it comes to the weapons, there's a variety of different weapons that you can use in this game, and that was one thing I did like a lot, was like just the different variety, because you would think from the trailer it would be just the pipe and maybe a few things. It's like, no, you got knives, you got sickles, you got sledgehammers, you got bats, you got crowbars. There's so many different weapons you can use in the game. There's also an axe, and that's one of the fun things, is just learning all these different weapons you can do, because some weapons are like heavy weapons and like they hit very hard, but at the same time they have a slow wind up. And also one of the other things you can do is like you can use your sanity. If you hold it all the way, it will also do like a stronger attack, because you have a light attack, a stronger attack, and then you have like a charged up attack. And when it comes to the charged up attack, sometimes some enemies can hit you and like stop it from happening, and that can suck sometimes. And also when it comes to hard mode, when it comes to like using those charged up attacks, you kind of don't want to use that. It's going to make your meter go down, and you don't want that meter super low at all. Overall, the combat is really fun, and that was one thing I love. And one of the other things is like when it comes to the enemies are all fascinating, because like one of the first enemies that you have is kind of just like this naked type of woman that carries like a knife, and throughout the game you have another version of that enemy that has like flowers on them, and also there's like a otherworld enemy doll version of that also is kind of crazy too. And they carry weapons, and they can hit hard and they can be annoying. But one of the things you can do in this game is that you don't gotta fight every single enemy in this game at all, because you can run past them. Especially once you upgrade your stamina all the way, you can really run past them, because these enemies are slow compared to Himiko. The only time they're really fast when they charge up after you. That's the only time they really get you. But for the most part, you can run away from enemies in this game. Like almost any type of horror game, most of the time you should run away from enemies. But one of the other fun things about this game is that you kind of want to do the combat at times, because there's some enemies you just want to beat their ass. And that's one of the things that's fun about this game, is that you can whoop these enemies asses, but at the same time you can run away, because you don't need to fight everybody. But also I should say, you get a lot of weapons in this game. There's only some points where like you'll be close to being like, oh shit, I'm about to run out of weapons. But you also get toolkits in this game. When it comes to the toolkits, those are literally used just to restore your durability on the weapons. As you're using the weapons, the durability is going to go down, and that's what you use the toolkits for, to like save that weapon if you want to save certain weapons, or you just let the weapon break and then you can just go get something else. It depends what you want to do. Also, one of the other enemies is like this blind enemy that's like bald, and like they're one of the crazy enemies, because like it's on all four legs, and it's also supposed to be a man too. And I hate them, because when they attack you, they lick you, because like they're supposed to creep you out, because they're supposed to be like creepy men. That's what they kind of represent. And that's one of the things it does. Every time it does attack you, it will lick you, and you're just like, ew. But yeah, they're one of the enemies that can be annoying. You also got this one big ass enemy that does carry a big ass sword. Those enemies are very crazy to fight at time. And plus, like, you know, later on in the story, you know, one of those turns into like Himiko's dad. So that enemy is pretty crazy. And one of the other enemies is like two different versions. Is like, one, you have like this weird thing where it's just like compact of like different type of people, and it spits out a whole bunch of red stuff, and also it'll make like a loud noise. And also the other world version of that is a whole bunch of dolls just like crushed together, and that one can be annoying because like it shouts and all that. And also I can't lie, I kind of do like the sound it makes when it jumps and all that, because it just sounds like there's something inside of it, and it just makes like a noise like that. I don't know, it was just one of the things I noticed. And I love hitting those ones too, because when you're hitting them, it sounds like you're breaking the doll. I do like the designs of the enemies a lot, and especially like once you figure out what exactly the enemies like symbolize. Also, there is this one big ass enemy that basically you could think of as like a pregnant woman, because one of the things it does is it spits out a whole bunch of different eggs that turn into different enemies. That one at times can be challenging, because sometimes it can take forever to take out, but it's not that bad of an enemy at all. And when it comes to the boss fights we have in this game, all the designs of all the different characters are really good. And that was like one of the things I really love, was just like the designs of the bosses. They all look very unique, and like even the powers that each boss has is very cool too. That was one of the things I love, is just like all the different boss fights in this game. I love the way they look. Now, one of the things I thought was really interesting about this game is the story. Because one of the things that the stories does is that everybody that plays this game is going to have the same ending the first time they play it. Because one of the things this game wants you to do is it wants you to play this game again, and it wants you to play in New Game Plus. That's one of the things it wants you to do, because like you're missing a lot of the story. Because if you only play this one time, you're missing so much stuff, because you have to play this game technically 2 more times to get the real true ending. You kind of want to get every single ending too, mainly because you're missing so many different pieces to the story. As you get certain endings, it's going to explain find other things that are happening when it comes to Himiko. And that's one of the cool things about this story that I really did like a lot, because you know, when it comes to other Silent Hill games, especially like let's say Silent Hill 2, when it comes to like Silent Hill 2, you have certain things that like impact what ending you're gonna get. Where in this one, it's like, no, everybody's first playthrough, they're gonna get the same ending. And after that, you have certain things you have to do to get the other endings. And then of course, like you have like the true ending. And that was one of the things I really liked, is that like everybody's first playthrough was all the same, and like it gave you a reason to actually go back and like play the game again. Because as soon as I beat this game, I went back and played it again. Where something like Silent Hill 2, I really didn't care that much because I've seen all the other endings, especially when it comes to the remake, I should say. The only reason why you go back to play endings because you just want to see like what the different outcomes can be. Where in this one, you really need to play the game again because you need to see these other endings. That way you can know the actual full story and like what exactly is happening in this story, because you need to see the true ending. And when you look at something like Silent Hill 2, it's really up to you to figure out which ending is really the true ending, where in this one you actually do have like different endings that lead up to what the actual true ending is. And that was one of the best things about the story. And when it comes about the story in general, one of the other cool things is that there's two different versions of Himiko. Because you have the Himiko in like the regular world, then you have like the Himiko in the other world, which is like her spirit world. And those are two different Himikos, because when it comes to Himiko, she's essentially kind of fighting in her head. Like all this is inside of her head, and this is like kind of her having like two different versions of herself. You know, like the thing that happens in like cartoons and movies where you have like a angel and a devil. You can essentially kind of think of that when it comes to these two Himikos, but not really like the angel and devil thing. Just think of it as two different versions of her that are basically just trying to figure out what exactly she really wants to do. Because like the version that we played majority the game in the regular world, the version that does not want to get married at all and does not like this arranged marriage at all, and like the one that's in the other world is the one that's going along with the marriage. And like you can tell when you're going in the other world that like that is the one that's going along with it. And like the main reason why you really just see that's the one that's going along with it, because like when you're in that other world, the other Himiko just basically follows everything that the one wolf guy is doing, like follows everything that he's doing, and she never really questions anything. Even though you have that doll there that literally tells her, yo, do not listen to the wolf, but she proceeds to listen to it. And that's when you have the one craziest scene in here when she gets her arm chopped off. I was like, oh my gosh, I was not expecting that. That of course, like when you play a new playthrough, you don't got to see that. That's why I was so happy we didn't have to see that at all. But like that really shocked me. That was one of the most shocking moments in the story, is when she gets her arm chopped off. I was like, oh my gosh, because this game is not really that scary. Like this game's not scary at all. It just has like shocking moments. But that moment right there was insane. I was not expecting her to get her arm just cut off like that. I was like, oh, that kind of made my stomach go like, oh. But yeah, that moment was very, very crazy. But I just like the aspect of just having the two different Himikos. And especially when it comes to the Himiko in the other world, she's the one the whole time, like in the regular world, that basically is like causing all these crazy creatures and things that are happening, and it goes after the Himiko that's in the other world. That was like one of the other shocking things too, especially because one of the turning points in the story was when you actually get to play as the other Himiko in the regular world, and you get to see her basically kill her parents, and then we get to like transition to the one Himiko that runs out and sees that. And that was like one of the other crazy things in the story, like when you finally get to see these two like interact with each other, and you get to that like one point where they meet each other. That was pretty crazy. One of the other cool things about this game is like the connection this has to like Silent Hill. I know I saw some people were saying like this is essentially just like a spin-off game and it's a side game, but this one actually does have a connection to like the regular series, and especially just like the first game, because literally the white Claudia flower is in this game, and it's at Shoes Place. It has a cool little reference back to that. And like when it comes to the pills are literally made out of that flower, and that basically kind of explains like why Himiko is hallucinating, because like she's been taking these pills, and that's why like she's seeing all these crazy things. And like that's how it relates back to like Silent Hill, because we know in the first Silent Hill you had like the white Claudia in that, and that was like another crazy moment in the story, just showing like how this actually does connect to Silent Hill, and this is not just like some one-off side game. It's like, no, this actually connects to the series. It's a reason why it's called Silent Hill, because of course it's going to be connected to the series in some type of way. Yeah, it's not taking place in Silent Hill, but it's like it's connected in the way. And also I do love that this takes place outside of Silent Hill, because in my opinion that was one of the things that kind of was holding back the games, that they always had to take place in Silent Hill. Even though when you know in like Silent Hill 4 and 3, you know at some points they do not take place in Silent Hill, especially like in Silent Hill 3 you're taking place in a mall in a different city, but eventually you know it had to go back to Silent Hill. In this one it never had to go back to Silent Hill, and that was one of the things I like. They should make more games like this, because they don't have to rely on just Silent Hill. They can make it in different towns. If they want to make more Silent Hill games, they can literally just use those pills as a reason like why all the crazy stuff is happening in a city that's not Silent Hill. Just saying though. Silent Hill F was a really fun game, and this was one of the best horror experiences experiences I've had with a horror game in a very long time, especially a AAA horror game, because when it comes to the indie horror games, we already know how those ones are rocking. Those ones have been good for a minute. It just, when it comes to AAA, those ones have basically been remakes, or they've been games I've really not cared for that much. But I'm happy that Silent Hill F was this good. I gotta go back and get the UFO in, because I've not played a game in a minute where after beating it, I went back and played it again, because that's what I did with this one, because I wanted to get those other endings. But if you played Silent Hill F, let me know what you think about it. If you've not played this game yet, go do yourself a favor and actually play this. You could probably just wait until November when this game goes on sale, because you know majority of games always go on sale like very cheap when it comes like around Black Friday. But who knows though, because the way the state of our economy is, maybe the games don't go down in November like they usually do, but who knows though. But Silent Hill F was a phenomenal game. So one of the things I did forget to mention is that in a new playthrough, you unlock the sacred sword. Yes, you do have a few steps that you have to do to unlock it, but once you get it, it is a really good weapon to have. And that's mainly because like the durability, you can always like replenish it. Every time the sword goes back into the sheath, it will replenish its durabilities, and that's one of the cool things about it. And also one of the other good things when you play another playthrough is like when it comes to like the Himiko in the other world, she literally has all her abilities that she gets, like with the wolf arm and all that. You literally have all that, and you skip past a lot of stuff, so you're already OP from the start when it comes to being in the other world, and you don't got to deal with those other world enemies, because you know those other world enemies always come back, and that's what would make them very annoying until you actually got the wolf power where you could stop them from like coming back. And one of the best things about this game is the music. The music is very phenomenal in this game, and it gets you really hooked into playing the game as the music plays, and as you go throughout all these different areas and you hear all the different music that's playing. The music is phenomenal, and it really makes the atmosphere and the environment of the game so good. And as you're playing, you hear that music in the background, you're gonna get addicted to playing this game because the music is that good. But if you enjoyed this video, why not subscribe to the channel? Check out some of my other content. I make a lot of anime content on my YouTube channel and especially on my TikTok. If you enjoyed the video, why not like? If you didn't, you could dislike. Subscribe if you really enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with the Silent Hill franchise next. Yes, I know that there's a Silent Hill 1 remake that was announced, but I'm curious like what game that's like, of course not a remake, what they're going to do, because I'm really interested, and this game really piqued my interest, and I'm just happy that Silent Hill is back.